I hope everyone is excited to master their profitability, unlock some crazy strategies. Dude, we have some really good stuff to talk about today. We were actually chatting about it this morning. But I
Mhm.
think I think both of us have really kind of figured a lot of like deep stuff, like tactical strategies out, especially when it comes to, improving your profits on Amazon. So I'm excited to be sharing a lot of that stuff. Chad, I know you have some cool stuff up your sleeve as usual. So yeah, excited. We'll wait maybe some time for attendees to come in.
I mean, yeah, while they're coming in, we could just share. And I feel like intros are unnecessary, but why not just share? And maybe I'll just share
Yep.
my off the cuff intro of you, Mina. So
Mm-hmm.
I met Mina at a conference a while ago, and people were standing around Mina and hovering and looking at all these strategies that he was doing. And I was like, all right, I was just getting back to the Amazon ecosystem after I sold Stubana, and I was like, I got to meet this guy. So I went up to him and I was like, hey, what are you guys working on over here? What are you guys doing? He's like, oh, we're going through some strategies. He was sort of very coy about it. And since that day, me and I have become close friends. We share a lot about business. We both have an e-commerce business. Mina also runs a really powerful PPC agency and is an influencer, I would say pretty much icon in the space in a short amount of time. And also a close friend of mine. And so, Mina, without further
Dude,
ado, welcome to the call.
I love that you're calling me an icon when you are the founder of Prosper, which is like the biggest show in all of the Amazon space. I remember being just like a noob at Amazon and showing up to Prosper and being like, wow, man, like this is what like I could be. Like I could be like this seller and like there's all these amazing agencies and software and stuff like that. Aggregators were coming on the scene. It was exciting times, very exciting times. You definitely created an incredible, thing, like an incredible. I don't even just want to call it an event. It's almost like a ritual, a part of a ritual in the Amazon industry where everyone looks forward to going to Prosper. I feel like it's a reunion, almost like a family reunion between all of us. So that's cool, man. And yeah, we've been good friends ever since. I love what you're doing with Prophecy. I feel like you are like embodied what like an entrepreneur should do, which is you identified a hole in the market and you created a solution to the problem that's better than everyone else. Before Chad, I honestly never paid attention to my price. And then after utilizing Prophecy, and we're going to share some of the results, so I'm not going to spoil it, but after utilizing Prophecy, we ended up having like really amazing results. And for me, at least, profit that I took home. MMA Nutrition paid for my entire wedding. MMA Nutrition pays for all my travel. So this is all possible
Amazing.
because my profits are higher now.
Amazing. Yeah, I did forget to mention that you're a customer, and we'll get into that reveal in a moment. But I think I think that sets actually a really good historic precedent for like what happened, right? Like Prosper Show, Stubana. Success is about positioning yourself right with luck and being patient around timing. And now I think that e-commerce has matured quite a bit since that time of Prosper and Stubana, and since I started selling on Amazon in 2006. And so this webinar is about profits. And I believe, and what I'm seeing talking to brands all the time, is that everyone's P&L on Amazon is being attacked.
Hmm.
Things are compressing, whether it's China being part of that process, whether it's inflationary impact, whether it's just cost per click increasing. And so this webinar really is about stacking the odds in your favor and putting yourself in a position so that you can win above everyone else.
Totally, totally. I completely agree with you. I think RPNLs are under attack, but I also think that is like a perspective that we got to put into context. You're actually not under attack. You're actually becoming normal. You were not normal. Like I grew up in Dubai and I go back now and everyone complains. They're like, oh, like the opportunities are not the same. I'm like, dude, people used to get paid 10K a month, like entry level. Right. And now they're complaining that they don't. I'm like, bro, the country just matured. And that's what's
Mhm.
happening to Amazon. I think it's just maturing. It's becoming a normal place. There's like saturation, like any other industry. And people are now like complaining. They're like, oh man, like things are getting harder. Like they're just becoming normal. Like, and you just have to now start competing. It no longer is it like, oh, let's just get a product on Amazon and let's, do what we do and it's gonna make money. Now it's like, hey, we actually have to compete. We have to have a, perfect listing. We have to have product market fit. We need to constantly optimize the product. We need to have our ads dialed in. We need to understand our metrics. We need to work on lifetime value, average order value. We need to work on like the entire customer journey, the unboxing experience, all of that stuff that before was like, dude, make a product, put it on Amazon, get a bunch of reviews, and now you're making tens of thousands of dollars a month in profits. It's just not like that anymore. It was a nice, fun opportunity, but not anymore.
All right. So now the game has changed.
Yeah,
It's not about these hacks or finding shortcuts or easy wins, right? Those have been sort of squashed to a degree. And now it comes down to what? Mastering fundamentals,
exactly.
innovating within this mature system, and playing the long game and executing better than anyone else.
Exactly, exactly. And so I actually want to start. So if you guys have seen any of my like more recent videos, I'm gonna start by sharing, kind of breaking down a little bit of like Amazon how I see it in a mature state. And I want to kind of start giving some people like how should you be paying attention to Amazon? How does all of the different factors, play a part into your profits, right? So I'll start here. Let me share my screen real quick if that's cool.
Yeah, I'm
And
super
then
excited to see this.
if you guys have watched my content, you understand that I look at Amazon as a very simple funnel, right? Most people I don't think look at Amazon like a funnel. Most people look at Amazon like I got to do PPC, I got to do this, I got to do that. But essentially, it's a funnel, right? And so at the top of the funnel, you just have people seeing you, right? They're all it is they're just seeing you, and that can be quantified as impressions. Okay. Now the things that are going to affect your impressions are going to be your organic rank, your PPC, and your external traffic, right? And when I say external traffic, I just low-key mentioned that because TikTok Shop has been killing it for us right now. So, but that's besides the point. But the top of the funnel is just people seeing you. Now,
Mhm.
you'll notice I mentioned PPC. There's nothing here to do with sales when it comes to PPC. It's simply PPC is showing your product to more and more people. So here, let's go here, right? I typed in mushroom coffee and I got these results. These are impressions. That's the extent of what your PPC can do. It cannot convert you. It can make you sales, nothing. So let's keep moving. Now, a certain number of these impressions, right, will actually turn into people coming into your listing, right? And so I'm just going to call this clicks/sessions. Sorry for my doctor's handwriting, right? And that is going to be based on click-through rate. This is where we now start flirting with the idea of price. But a certain number of people seeing you turn into clicks and turn into sessions. And
Mhm.
so with everything being the same, you can actually have more people in your listing by optimizing the factors that affect click-through rate. And there are 7 of them, right? There's your let's go here, do this one, right? Think the four sigmatic, think organic coffee. There's the main image, there's the title, there's the reviews and the star rating, there's the price, and then you see here the price per ounce, which is also an important thing. And then you have discounts and coupons, the delivery speed, so FBA versus FBM, and the badges, aka bestseller badge. So when you're paying attention to Amazon as a funnel, right? Obviously, the better your click-through rate is, the more your impressions turn into people into your listing. And then at the bottom, we have sales, right? So I'm just going to do dollar signs here, and that is going to be based on your conversion rate. And it's all the rest of the factors in the listing. So the listing images, the videos, the A plus content, etc. Right? All these other things in the listing, these are what convert sessions or clicks. And I separate them because clicks and sessions are not the same. Clicks are people clicking on different ads. Sessions are unique visitors to your page. And that's actually what matters. How many unique visitors that come to your page. So let's hone in a little bit deeper on the factors that affect the click-through rate, because this is, I think, a perfect time to start talking about pricing. So main image is one of the biggest things that you can pull as a lever, right? Optimizing your main image, you can look at this Rise Mushroom Coffee where the back of the product shows. This is probably like a glitch. And look at the one to the right and the one to the left. So and look at the Beyond Brew. The more attractive your main image is, and the faster that it captures the attention, the eye, the more you're going to get people to evaluate this. I think, in my opinion, the biggest things that people consider, besides the bestseller badge, which you just have to be the bestseller in your category to get, is your reviews and your price. Those are the other 2 factors. So main image gets them, like, hey, what's go? This looks like good. I don't even think they read title. I think they look at price and they look at reviews. Reviews, it's kind of one of those things that it's a direct correlation. As you get more reviews, as you have a higher star rating, you will get more sales. And so, some people tell me I launched, I didn't get good sales, blah, blah, blah. And then it's usually because you have 50 reviews, 20 reviews. And then we have
By the way,
price.
sometimes as a buyer, I'm just thinking about myself as a buyer. Sometimes I look at the quality of the reviews versus the number of reviews. So I think
Yeah,
if
but
you
we're just
hover,
talking here, like
yeah,
click from the click-through rate. Oh, you're talking about like star rating?
yeah, the star rating is like 4.6 or 4.4. Like I'm shopping right now for like organic greens, these like powder. And like to me, 4.4 is, I would say like standard what I'm seeing, but I'm seeing like one company that's 4.7 and has 800 reviews versus 33,000. And you can see that on the front. I think if you hover, you can see that on the front page, at least on my Amazon when I shop.
Yeah.
Like hover on
Oh,
the
you
stars.
can
Yeah.
see if you can. Yeah, yeah. Well, this one because it's an iPad, I don't know how to do that, but
Yeah, yeah, no
um,
worries.
yeah.
Keep going. Keep going.
So then we kind of get into the biggest one, right? Which is pricing. So Chad, I want you to comment on pricing because with everything being the same, with all your PPC being the same, and we're going to comment on how PPC and price affect each other, but with everything being the same, if you have a better price, right? You can have more people coming into your listing and more of them converting. So for everything being the same, like you're still spending $1,000 a day on ads. Instead of making 3,000 in sales, you could make 4,000 in sales, or even 5,000 sales because you have more people coming in and more people converting. So Chad, I'll let you start commenting here on price and how you're seeing that affect clicks and conversions.
So I'm going to first state that like most people never change price. Most brands on Amazon typically just forever statically hold their price. And so I'm seeing that as a massive red flag. And so to me, changing price is no additional cost and it all drops to the bottom line. But you have to understand, how does Amazon.com, how do your competitors, how do your customers react to those price changes? And so I would say most brands on Amazon, when I talk to them, they're either not changing their price or they're making price decisions out of fear or just out of inattention. Like, hey, I wasn't focusing on this because I was focusing on this
PPC.
this new this new thing, this new shiny thing that Amazon just launched, this AI, blah 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 blah, and
Rufus.
it comes exactly in Rufus. And so, like to me, it's like the number one thing is like, okay, you need to just pay attention more to pricing, and that's a big part of what people aren't doing. And so, when it comes down to revenue being for vanity and profit for sanity, like pricing drives EBITDA. Pricing decisions are super sensitive when it comes to the Amazon algorithm, and nobody has actually figured out how to do it. And that's why Profasee exists. So it's not always that like no one knows what the optimal price is. Like if you look up, I think this is like mushroom coffee right now, like
Yeah,
pricing is all over the place, right? 44, 39, 19.99. Like
20. Yeah.
nobody knows what the right price is. Can they increase price? Do they have that kind of pricing power? Or perhaps they might need to decrease price, which has a second order of consequence. And I think this also is what makes pricing so difficult on Amazon, is that you have this second order of consequence, a follow-on, a knock-on effect of changing price. So your price today affects your order volume tomorrow because Amazon does react and your competitors do react when someone else makes a price change. You don't make price changes in a vacuum. So understanding that maybe the Apple decision is to lower price and that increases your velocity, and that will offset the decrease of the lower price where you have more velocity. Maybe you have a better ranking position because of it. And maybe because that you have a better ranking, that you now own page one and you don't have to rent page one with PPC. So pricing is a really, really effing big deal if it didn't become clear from that. And nobody knows what the optimal price is. So this is where testing really comes to matter, like conscious price testing at scale.
Chad, can I ask you a question? Can you help us like map this out, right? So right now I have my price right here. There's two options. There's, let's call it increase the price, and there's decrease the price. Now, obviously, it's way more complex than this. But what are we looking for here if we increase the price? And what are we looking for here if we decrease the price? Like, what are some indicators this is the right move, the wrong move? Profasee obviously does this on a AI insane level, right? But like, let's start by like, what things should I look for that give me an indication that I should increase my price? And if so, what KPIs should I track?
Okay, so on Amazon, like right now, let's just say we're running the simple, not simple, but we're running a profit model at
Hmm.
Prophecy. So our job is to make you more money. Now, we're not willing to make you more money if we sacrifice your ranking position. So your BSR is sort of a proxy for like what happens to your BSR when this happens.
Hmm.
The next is you need to understand, are your customers sensitive to price changes? So like
Okay.
technically BSR is Amazon sensitive to price change. Now we have to understand are your customers highly sensitive? Uh, and maybe at a lower price, are you getting more sales or getting less sales? So you need to let data drive the decisions around this.
Okay.
Um, so I think
What
that's
about
two
like what about the price of competitors around you?
completely.
Okay, so I'll just say market, like I'll just put the market right here.
Yeah, threats or competitive threats or market. Yep. So the cat competitors matter. Just like if you change price, what happens to competitors?
Hmm. So in this scenario, right? If we increase the price, there's two options for the BSR. It either goes up or it goes down, right? So up is bad, down is good for everyone. BSR down means closer to one, better BSR. So if you increase your price and your BSR magically drops, like do you increase it for or are we just focusing on BSR? Or are we focusing on what's happening to our profit? Or like give me like so,
So,
the thought
so like our
process.
model consumes all these data points and makes the optimal decision based on thousands and thousands of nodes of like if then statements. But if we're simplifying it, right, we know that typically if you increase price, demand drops, right? And vice versa, right? Unless you're Nike or Apple, if you increase price, your demand drops. What does that mean? Is like your conversion rate drops. And so BSR is a function of sales velocity. Now, interestingly enough, and we can share your listing specifically, you had a lot more pricing power than you thought you had when you started Profasee. And
Yeah.
so we were able to actually like get some massive boosts. And so like the inverse actually happened. We had started dynamic rotational pricing for your account. I don't know if you have like a Amazon Keepa. If you do have Keepa on your iPad or no.
No, I don't have any of the apps here.
So you can see if we scroll down into Keepa, this is real live data, right? So Mina is a customer of Profasee. Like most brands, he doesn't change price, and he's making money. He's doing his thing, static pricing, and so Profasee came in, dynamic rotational pricing, and look at what happens to the ranking position, which is his green. It immediately drops. Like Amazon actually took favorability, actually liked what was happening here. It liked
Wow.
this dynamic rotational pricing, and look at how it drops. So now his ranking position is way better. We're capitalizing, and this changing in pricing is us actually capitalizing on the customer's willingness to buy and the value that Mina is offering on the marketplace. We're matching that together, and so we're setting the perfect price to capitalize on the demand to make them the most amount of money. And then at a certain point, we're like, wait a minute, there's actually more demand that's happening. Like demand has increased for this product. Why don't we actually surge pricing? So the model wanted to go up in price. And so this is a pretty big jump over time that happened. And you can see his ranking stayed flat. So this is I would say like counterintuitive example of how you shouldn't believe everything you hear on Amazon that just if you increase your price, yes, if you increase your price nilly-vanilly and you have no data to drive the decisioning around that, like you're going to get hit by Amazon. But if you slow and steady make changes to price over time and are understanding the drivers behind those price changes, you'll see that we were able to increase price. This is seven-figure profit capture for Mina. Like he mentioned, it paid for his wedding and then some. So
Definitely.
just a great
And
example I
so
want to share.
if we're talking about like okay, non-prophecy people, right? Just because we want to make sure that everyone can implement this too. You're gonna increase price. You're looking for three things. What's happening to your BSR, price sensitivity, the market. If your BSR happens to go up, which in or happens to go down, sorry, which was my case, that's amazing. Continue to double down, which I believe we continue to double down and we hit that $39 threshold. At 39, that's when the BSR started to increase again. So we went back
Mhm.
down and we initially by improving the price, we like you can see by increasing the price, we improved BSR. So like let's double down. And that's where you see that second step. So if you see your BSR is improving, increase more. And then at a certain point, we were like, okay, we have a good BSR, but it became like diminishing returns or the opposite. It started hurting us. So then we're like, okay, let's go back. And maybe as we increased price, as you can see that big step, there wasn't a change in my BSR, but I sold the same amount of units with higher price point, which means more profit. Now, the second thing is you're considering is price sensitivity. So if you did that, if you changed the price and then all of a sudden you notice that your sales are tanking, you might have a price sensitive market. And so maybe what would you do in that case? Would you change price in smaller increments, or would you just be aware like, hey, I have a price sensitive market?
So I would like analyze the data to see like what's happening, right? So what's happening to conversion rate, what's happening to my BSR, what's happening to my profits. And so, I mean, this is like kind of the initial spreadsheet that I was using. I kind of made it look a lot prettier than when I was doing it. But essentially, like I would track every day BSR changes, year over year changes, units sold, price. There's a lot of things that we were tracking to make sure that we're making the right decision around price. And we're really price testing to see what would happen. So what happened to sessions this year versus last year? What happened to ad spend, which is a very important piece of it? Uh, Conversion rate, if there was improvement or non-improvement, if there's any like comments that I want to share in this area. And on top of that, competitors, like you mentioned, right? So like positioning, what's the competitor's average BSR, the best competitors BSR, the worst competitor, et cetera, and understanding those deltas and like tracking this every single day. And this is just for one ASIN.
So Dan asked, what happened at that inflection point with MMA? That was just us opening up the ceiling of pricing and saying, so if you're talking about the pink line, that's when we opened up the ceiling to price and we're like, okay, I was capping it at $29.99. I said you can go up to $37.99, and they went up, and nothing changed in terms of unit sales, and I just made a bunch more money. Then there's other smaller inflection points where we took the price a little bit too high, and maybe we saw like you can see even there's not even that many dips, right? But that was the when we went from 37, I opened up to 39. And then obviously the first inflection point where the BSR really improves is Profasee's testing. So that's that. Okay, so Chad, you're measuring all of these things. What about the market? What happens when the market starts lowering prices around you, or what happens when they start increasing prices around you? And why should you track the market?
Well, like every decision on Amazon has this like butterfly effect because people aren't making decisions in an isolated environment like Shopify. So there's all these other factors around you. So if competition does start to lower price or starts to encroach on market share or top of search share, our model is consuming that as well. Do you want me, by the way, you want to go back to your screen to share?
Sure. I'm just telling everyone, guys, ask your questions in the Q&A, right?
Okay.
And we're definitely gonna get to it. But yeah, I mean, you could keep going.
So the model will look at how competitors are reacting, what their placement is in terms of where they appear on page one for your hero keyword, what their velocity is. So we're enriching the model. We're going out. So in terms of props, just like if you're doing this manually, right, you would go out and find your competitors. You would do a reverse ASIN lookup, pick out the competitors you want to track. We do our own reverse ASIN lookup. We find 5 competitors. We track those competitors heavily. We track their price. We track their inventory. We track their positioning. We track where they are when they're dropping ad spend, and what else we track, and their velocity and revenue. So those are the main things that we're tracking from a competitor perspective and enriching our model with that information, with that data. And we're doing that on a daily basis.
Okay, very cool. And so, you know, if I were to do this manually, would I be kind of the goal is to, hey, make price changes and then document what happens and then learn like that. So it's like you increase price, look at what's happening around me with my competitors, look at my positioning, look at my BSR, and if so, that's a good move. Increase price again or lower price again. And then what's your comment on like also increasing and decreasing price throughout the day? Like now we have Amazon Marketing Stream. They can tell us higher conversion rate times and lower conversion rate times. Have you considered increasing price on higher conversion rate times and vice versa?
So real quick, let me just stop sharing real quick about this share sensitive customer data. But so our system actually has something called surge pricing built in. So an example would be we have the #1 selling umbrella company on Amazon. And we just had a ton of hurricanes. I know you're moving here, Mina, but we just had a ton of hurricanes here in Florida. And so essentially, when there's a hurricane, right, there's a spike in demand, right? Because there's gonna be essentially areas around the hurricane that are going to experience a lot of rain. And so inside of the platform, we have a setting that allows you to enable surge pricing. So we will check for impressions or sessions that are coming to the listing and seeing if demand has increased. And if demand is increasing, let's just say there is a hurricane happening, our software will automatically detect that and start increasing price intraday. Another example of this is there's he's actually on our website, so it's nothing to be sensitive about, but John Reinhardt, great Amazon brand, they made a bed bug powder. An influencer, unbeknownst to him, actually started promoting his bed bug powder on YouTube. And there was a massive spike in, I was just waiting for your photo to show up. There you go.
Oh,
There
there
was a
we go.
massive spike in demand for the bed bug powder. And we had intraday surge pricing enabled, and we're able to capitalize on a massive increase of demand. We're talking about like $250,000 in a very short period of time, all from this one influencer.
Wow, I love that search pricing. Okay, Chad, a couple questions. Say it said, can you elaborate on how the price increase could cause an improvement in ranking, which is very counterintuitive. Do you have, I have ideas. It's fully speculation, FYI. Chad, what do you think? Why did my rank improve?
That's a good question. I think you only know if something's going to change is if you can actually test that change and let data drive the decisions and the process. Like we didn't know your ranking was going to improve.
Yeah,
I do think Amazon is sensitive to the algorithm, and as long as you're doing smart and conscious price changes, you're great. I think another thing that drives the algorithm is conversion rate, and I think that perhaps there could have been a perception of value for your product, and you know your category better than I do, but the perception of where you were relative to other competitors and the pricing power that you had and the increase maybe shared the perception that there was a lot more value. I don't know. What are
I
your
think
thoughts
so.
on
That was going to be my guess. And again, this is a guess, a speculation, but I think I had a lot of reviews and I was priced at 27 or whatever. And then, when I went up to 37, people were like, "Oh, this guy has a lot of reviews and he has a high price. He must be a really good product." That's the only thing I can think of. But that's kind of why we talk about this. Like you have options, increase price or decrease price, and that's why we're working through this because you could increase your price and you're like, two things could happen. You could make less sales, but you're making more profit per sale. And as a result, you're making more profit. Or you could end up actually making more sales, which is counterintuitive, but also a possibility. And you'll never know that unless you test it. Victoria says, how often do you change your prices?
So just to piggyback on that real quick, right? So there could have been this like increased perceived value for your product. You could have actually just done a better job of matching demand with what the customer is willing to buy. And that meant that you were going to get a higher conversion rate from customers. That could have been happening. Um, Now we know that the higher profit that you were getting wasn't reinvested in advertising, which
Hmm.
could have potentially impacted BSR, which it didn't. Now, in terms of like Propasee in general, we make price changes once a day. And so like if you're going to go at this solo, for example, like you have to be super careful that you're not making massive jumps. So our algorithm has figured out what the right amount to make steadily increases of price on Amazon are, but we only make changes once a day, and we do it at midnight, between midnight and 3 a.m. roughly, UTC time.
Okay. And then if I'm doing this manually, then I would just do one a day and probably $1, right? If you're like anywhere up to like an 80, 70, $80 product, probably $1 a day. If you're more, probably $2 a day, no more than that. That's a safe bet, right?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on that. I would do it on a percentage basis of the price that you're selling.
Hmm.
So, I'd probably do like a 1% or a 2% change and see how that affects things. Now, one of the things that we do at Profasee is we do something called hyper learning. So we train how we make these small changes to price test and learn to see how does the market react? How do your customers react? How does your competitors react? So we do these changes to see what happens with those changes. And so we essentially force interaction because most brands never change price. So there's this cold start problem that happens where a brand doesn't adjust their prices and there's no interaction data, there's no clicks or there's no purchases. And so without this data, the algorithm struggles to know like what's the product's performance and it makes it really difficult to optimize. So we essentially do this. We force it for 30 days. We price test at scale between a specific boundary of -5 to +5% to allow us to really build a foundation and overcome lack of data. Take that data and move it into the optimization phase, which is where we make you a boatload of money.
Steph asks, are you talking about changing product price or list price, strike through price, and how do they differ? And then John, which is a piggyback on that, is do you take coupons and discounts into account, or is it more just
Yeah,
the whole bottom line price? So
amazing question. These are great questions. So
yeah,
we adjust the list price, but we look at what happens to your net selling price as well. So between the list price and the net price, you have coupons or deals in between. So your coupon. So we let you run your coupon. So we adjust the list price, which ultimately affects the coupon price. And then we can see what happened with the list price and the net price, and then how we're contributing to your overall profitability as a company.
okay, very, very cool.
Was there another question
Discounts?
I forgot?
Yeah, the discounts.
So discounts, like if you're running a Prime, let's just say it's like Prime Day and you're running a deal, we ask every customer well in advance of Prime Day, are you going to run a deal? Because if you're going to run a deal, that means that your lowest price needs to be in the past 30 days, 15% or 30%, depending on the category. So we essentially set the min price, the floor price of Profasee, to not go below a specific price. So here the min price is 1950. We set a new min price that becomes the discount price plus 15%. So we don't actually violate any of the boundaries that Amazon wants you to set up for, and as we prepare for Prime Day.
Yeah, but are you taking into account like discounts and coupons when you are changing price? So I guess the question is, okay, let's say, for MMA, we add a dollar, we take down a dollar, take down a dollar, whatever, and then we add a discount. So is that like once you add a discount, now you have a different price? How does that factor into our price testing?
Yeah, so we're essentially testing the list price. However, we know what your net price is. We're essentially tracking everything. We're tracking all
Okay.
your prices. We're tracking the deals that are happening. That's all flowing into the model to make sure that we can deliver on the promise. So if you're running the profit model, the promise is like, hey, we can deliver you more profit. And by the way, just so you know, like at Profasee, we have a 3x ROI guarantee. So we promise there's not an agency or software in our space. I would love, maybe Trivium does this, and I would love to know. That would change what I say, but essentially we promise a 3x ROI, or we keep working for free until we do. So essentially we wanted to make this as riskless as possible and as a no-brainer as possible for people, because most people are like a little bit scared about changing price or whatever. And so we're taking this on. And so we wanted to just say, hey, you know what? We will take care of this and we will stand behind what we do.
So back to the funnel, right? At the top of the funnel, you guys have, the impressions, people seeing you. Let's touch on a few things. So PPC, organic, and external. With PPC, essentially to get more impressions, that's the whole kind of game, right? The whole game is how to identify every single keyword possible I could show up for and I could rank for, but what is my like bottleneck or my threshold, right? The threshold is how high can I show up for a certain keyword until it becomes not profitable for me. And so if I had unlimited money, I would find every single search term under the sun that is relevant to my product. I would spend a lot of money and I would get it up on the top of page one. I would just keep increasing my bids until it's the top of page one, and then I will get the maximum number of impressions. The problem with that is based on your click-through rate and based on your conversion rate, you're going to get a certain specific, sales or profit from that keyword. And that is what now holds you back. So if you have a really good conversion rate, your keyword for PPC could be, this keyword one, like if this is all the ranks, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, 50, right? If you have a really good conversion rate, you could be up here. If you have a really bad conversion rate for another keyword, you might have to be down here, because as you go higher and get more impressions, it just starts costing you too much money. So with that being said, what holds us back from increasing this when it comes to PPC is actually click-through rate and conversion rate. Because if those were really good, then we would be able to show up higher and higher for those keywords without an issue, because we wouldn't be losing money, right? So that's one thing to keep in mind. So your PPC strategy is essentially identify all the keywords possible that you could rank for. Then you have to put them to the test. And you're putting them to the test based on the click-through rate and the conversion rate that you have right now. So 6 months from now, a year from now, if you go from 50 reviews to 200 reviews, 300 reviews, some of those keywords that were here and you're like, okay, I'm going to negative this keyword because it's not profitable, you could try again, and it could actually end up working up here, or it could end up working up here. So identify all the search terms, launch them, in campaigns, get data on them. And when my threshold is usually at least 50% of the product price. So if it's a $30 product, right, I'm going to spend $15 on a keyword and then make a decision, right? Because at that point, it's like, okay, if it spends $16 or $17 and still no sale, I'm already over a 55% ACOS, right? Let's go back here. So PPC, the next is organic, right? And this is the other way to increase this. And the way that we increase organic is by basically converting more times for PPC. And what I'm seeing is also by driving external traffic. So organic, what do you need to do? Very, very simply, if it's not external traffic, create single keyword campaigns or whatever, increase the bids in the current campaigns, take a search term, right? That is right now sponsored rank, let's say 49, and bring it to sponsored rank 4 or 5 or 10. As all of a sudden, it goes from converting 3 times on this keyword a month to converting 13 times a month on this keyword. Amazon takes into account the number of conversions you've had on a keyword, regardless of the cost. They don't care about the cost. Like, it might be one of the secondary smaller factors. Of course, if I convert better than you, it makes sense. But they're looking at like whole number. And we know this because of search find buy. And when we used to do search find buy, we just used to increase the number of conversions on a keyword. And as a result, Amazon would say, oh, wow, this product start converting more on this keyword. Let's increase its organic rank. And it starts increasing its organic rank because it's like, this product is doing well, so let's show it to more people. Let's get it to convert. And obviously, this is the goal that we want to reach is higher organic rank, because then we don't have to spend money on getting the clicks, right? Like, we're going to get more and more impressions, and we can get more clicks without having to spend more money. And then the final thing is external traffic. So I'm just seeing a positive correlation with driving traffic to Amazon from external sources, especially like TikTok Shop. I don't want to comment on Google, whatever. I know that Carbon 6 and Pixel.me are finding a lot of good results there. But what we're seeing is increasing our brand awareness, driving people to search for our brand name on Amazon has helped. Okay, so now that I've talked about this, what we really need to touch on is how does price and PPC play a part. So let me just, it's so hard to move this. Okay, here we go. So how does price and PPC play a part? Amazon is not just a funnel. It's actually a bunch of different funnels. They're all driven based off each keyword, right? You think about it, and if you go pay attention to the Search Tree Performance Report, people aren't just like seeing you. They're seeing you on keyword 1, seeing you on keyword 2, seeing you on keyword 3. And then a certain number of those people are going to click on you, and a certain number of those people are going to convert. And so why does PPC and price matter is because every single keyword, like Chad was mentioning, has its own price sensitivity. Every single keyword has its own different market conditions. So mushroom coffee has someone that's 21 and 19, but maybe like mushroom coffee, whatever, for women, all the products there are like much more expensive, or something that like makes it so that you are more attractive there. And so that's what makes this a lot more complex, is that as you're changing your prices, you need to pay attention to how click-through rate is changing for each and every keyword. Now, what we're doing is very rudimentary, right? And it's just, hey, we're combining all of the click-through rates in one and saying what's happening. But the truth is, when you change price, so let's say Chat changed the price, right? Let's move this up. Okay, let's say Chat changed the price with Profasee, and then let's say this is the before, this is the after, and CTR went from 0.3, 0.4, 0.5 to 0.6, 0.4, and then 0.3, right? It changed. You're not just gonna say, okay, I changed my price, like PPC is the same. Here, I'm gonna increase my bids and show up higher because my click-through rate is better. It's an indication that there's more likelihood I'm gonna convert here. Here, I'm not gonna change much. Here, I'm probably gonna lower my bids so I can show up a little bit lower, because the indication is, sorry about that. The indication is I'm performing worse. I went from 0.5 to 0.3. So Chad, I'll let you comment on how you at Profasee kind of combine PPC and pricing.
Yeah, well, I think you're nailing it. But we believe that when price dictates spend, which is what you're really showing here, right? If you have a change in CTR and there's a positive impact, that there's availability for you to increase bid on a high performing keyword for you to
Mm-hmm.
double down on. So we're doing the same thing. So we know in general, like whether you use Profasee or not, you can increase price. And if you increase price and there's a positive outcome, you now have more budget to now spend to acquire that customer. Can we agree on that?
Yep, for sure.
And because of that, it all flows down to the bottom line. So there's an example that you can share, which is like, let's just say you have a $25 product and now we increase it to 20% to $30. So there's a 20% increase. You also can increase your ACoS 20%, bidding on high performing keywords that are converting. And with that, you have the ability to double your contribution profit dollars from doing that harmoniously together, from uniting price and ad spend together. It really unlocks another level of gains that people have never seen before.
I love it. And then before I pause, I think we can end for like some questions. I'm glad that you mentioned, that you can spend more money. I just want to show something. Okay, so we're familiar with this, right? The funnel. Oh, all right, let's go here. Oh, sorry. Down. 1 second. Here we go. All right. One thing I want to touch on is, so we talked about these stages: impressions, clicks, sales. There's also at the bottom here, two things I want us to consider, which is lifetime value and average order value. Now this is what Chad was talking about. If you understand so first of all, if you increase your price, you can spend more on acquiring a customer. So acquisition, we'll just call it acquisition. And then also, if you understand your lifetime value, you can spend more to acquire a customer because you know that they're going to come back. And if you increase your lifetime value, you can spend even more acquiring a customer. And so the things that increase lifetime value are, for example, retargeting with DSP. So people who purchased from you in the past but haven't repurchased, cross-selling, if you're cross-selling, one product to another product, subscription, right? So remove this, subscribe and save, is another one. What else besides that? Maybe, yeah, I know this is like capturing info and remarketing. So if you guys have not heard of this is a hack that no one is talking about. This is crazy. If you use Amazon SIP program, which is Ships and Product Packaging program, you can create your own branded box for your products. So for a lot of us, we might be like, yo, like this is crazy. Like I'm not going to put all my products in their own boxes. But if you do, they give you discounts on fulfillment. So if you do a feasibility analysis and a kind of financial evaluation, you might find out that it costs you less or even the same to have products in your own packaging. But here's the hack. Amazon will allow you to include a QR code to send people and capture their information and do things to them or send them to your website if it's in the SIP program, because they're saying it's okay for you to have any sort of QR code, call to action, whatever. Obviously, don't do a free product for review. But besides that, right, you can actually go and capture customer information right from the box, and you can send them anywhere you want, and it won't violate the terms, and you can capture their information and then remarket to them.
It's like a recent discovery. I think that's pretty fascinating. Just searching garlic press. There's an interesting brand that's out there. I'm going to share it here. So if you look at these brands advertising, you'll see these like low priced items, which there's a variation strategy here, right? There's price anchoring. But if you look at here, this is a $54 garlic press, right? 500 have bought this in the past month and looked at the price differential. And the same thing here happening with the Gia, right? $29.99. Higher price than everything else. And so what they're doing in this example is precisely, I think, what we're both talking about, right? Is that they're essentially raising their price and they're covering their costs. It better come with a lifetime warranty. Thanks, John. But like you now can afford to spend more on each customer without sacrificing your overall profitability. And so as an example, and I love to use this example because like people are so tied to like ACoS management in the Amazon world, and these are bendable metrics. Like ACoS is a metric that's a revenue metric and it's completely bendable. And so if we look here, I'm just going to show a quick table. Here's price, $25. You increase it 20%. You increase your ACoS, which most people want to target at ACoS, but we increase the ACoS by 20%. All things remain equal, right? Of course, the referral fee goes up because Amazon's take goes up because your price has changed. And even with their increased take, your gross profit increases 60% in this example. Your ad spend increases 20%, but your contribution profit dollars, how we started the beginning of this conversation, is that your contribution profit doubles. And that is the heartbeat of your business. And these are these counterintuitive examples of how you can actually use price and PPC as a lever to actually make a whole lot more money. And it's just counterintuitive to what everyone's been trained in the Amazon world.
And with that being said, if you do try this and you're like, oh, Mina and Chad told me increase my price, blah, 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 and it doesn't work, and you have to lower your price back down, understand that that is going to be a factor of your images not being that good, your reviews not being that good, your listing, the rest of the listing images, the videos, brand story, premium plus content, maybe your entire value proposition. So as a product, you are not like solving the problem well enough to justify a better price. And so again, this is why price testing is very dynamic, because we're not just saying increase your price, but we're saying try increasing, try decreasing, look at the factors that are at play, and then make a decision. There was a question here about
Yeah. Let me just
how
piggyback on that real quick. I think it's
yeah.
super important is that like no one's telling you what to do here, right?
Mhm.
What I'm trying to really share is that pricing in general deserves a bigger seat at the table. Pricing touches all parts of the organization, even PPC, right? Pricing and PPC, those should be part of the conversation. I know when Trivium looks at accounts, it's not just PPC. He's looking at the bigger picture. And so pricing in general, price testing should drive your decisions. So you shouldn't just follow a guru or some sort of trend that you hear. And so the data that you generate from this will reveal the truth. So when you test, you're going to learn, you're going to understand the demand of your product, you can experiment, you can measure it, and then you execute on that based on what you see in the market.
Very cool. The final I had a question come in from Qasim. He said, "How can we increase sales without PPC?" Um, you know, so increasing click-through rate and increasing conversion rate, right? So basically improving your image, testing your price, getting more reviews. If you have any shipping issues, fix that. Make sure that you're shipping very fast. The rest of your images, your SEO. I have a whole video on my YouTube with Brandon Young about how we optimize SEO, and that alone tripled the sales of a product because it started indexing better. Brand story, premium A plus content, and then improving the product. So maybe your product is a version 1, take it to a version 2 or version 3, something that you're like, wow, this is a much better product than anything else on the market. So those are kind of all the ways to do it. Also, maybe use something like TikTok Shop where you're driving traffic and you don't have to pay for it. It will still cost you money for sure. It's just like PPC, but if we're talking about like non-PPC stuff, non-ad stuff, those are kind of all the different ways I can think of.
I think pricing too, by the way, you can use pricing as
Yeah.
a lever. You can actually look at, I'm going to focus on these garlic presses again, but you can look at Zule, and Zule doesn't advertise, right? That was an organic click for page 1, ranking 1. And if you go back and look at his strategy, I have a whole YouTube breakdown with him on the call on YouTube in the Profasee channel. You can see he's just using price as a lever to get more ranked. Like he's dropping price and looking at his ranking position. And you can see these candlestick movements in price. These are all super strategic and thoughtful for him to conquer. Now he did do it at a loss, and a lot of people advertise at a loss too. And so he's using price as a lever to drive his ranking on Amazon.
All right, guys. Any final questions? Hopefully this was helpful. John says, um, a better hero image will increase your sales without PPC. We have seen it done on 100% organic C accounts. Yeah, I 100% agree. Better hero image will always result in better click-through rate and will result in more sales. Sayed said, I'm not sure if I can ask this as if it's off topic. Can you share your opinion on what the right campaign structure for a hero keyword? I usually do one campaign, one ad group, one keyword, and include keyword under all match types. I would do one campaign, one ad group, one keyword, three different campaigns, one match type in each campaign and each ad group. Do not mix and match types in the same campaign. Other than that, you're doing everything right. And then John said, I would rather price drop at a loss to gain BSR over spending too much PPC. If you guys need a full free account audit, I'm gonna actually drop the link to make your guys' life easier here.
Drop it in the chat. So if you've stayed on this long, you'll have known that Mina really knows his stuff, and he's offering a free audit of your account. It's free. The guy really knows his stuff. Just take advantage of it while you can. I also have an offer I wanted to share too. I just wanted to give everyone an opportunity to see that offer and scan the QR code from your phone if you're on your phone, or just check out the Zoom chat. For me, we're offering a 50% discount for an entire year of Profasee. It's only for new customers, but scan that code or just email me
Dude,
using the code Mina.
do you want to tell people how Profasee is pretty affordable? Is maybe a nice word to put it. Like, you will 100% make your money back. And I mean, just in this time savings, right? That you don't have to keep split testing different price manually, but also like it's made me a shit ton of money. So, I mean, I suggest if anyone wants to like test doing all this stuff on their own, go for it. You want to test the software, go for it. The end of the day, I just think that your price is a price that you can't really. It's like a no-brainer, right? It's a no-brainer.
That's what we're
Chad,
trying to create.
what's the offer if X doesn't increase, no charge?
It's a 3x ROI guarantee. So if we don't deliver 3x of whatever you put into Profasee, we keep working for free until you do. So we will keep working for free if we don't hit that. We've never actually had to use that before, but we want this to be a no-brainer. We want this to be like a hell yeah decision for you, and we want to just let our system drive the results. So
I love it. All right, guys. Thank you for sticking around. Hopefully this was useful. Chad, this was awesome, man.
Mina, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day, and thank you for everyone else for taking time out of your day to join us. Very grateful.
Yeah. Implement this stuff. Implement.
All right, everybody. Rock on.
Peace out,
Thanks for
guys.
joining.